Joining me now here in studio, Jamil Jaffer, founder and executive director of the National Security Institute. Thank you. You and I have talked multiple times on foreign issues. This is a historic day if this deal does go through that's now on the table. Let's start with timing. Why now?
Well, Marni, obviously there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of tension. This is an opportunity, I think, for Russia and the U.S. to at least find a path forward where we're getting back some people we've been talking about for a long time. There's a hope that this might lead to something on the Russia-Ukraine front. I doubt it will. At the end of the day, the U.S. election is likely going to drive what happens there. But at a minimum, I think this will allow us to at least get a trade in place. Now, remember, when the Russians have done a trade with us before, they have taken action against those folks. If you remember, when we traded the Russian illegals for some spies, one of those spies was eventually attacked by Russia in the UK. One of the ones we got back, the British got back. There's an attempt to kill him using Novichok. So the Russians have long memories. And so, the fact that we're getting our people back is a good thing. But be careful, the Russians are not always going to do a good deal.
Right. So what you're saying is even once these Americans are back on U.S. soil, they may not be safe?
Well, in that case, it was a Russian asset that we had, who ultimately, or the British had, who went to Russia. They went after him after he left Russia. I doubt they're going to come after Americans. That would be crazy. But nothing is free from doubt. At a minimum, it's a good opportunity to at least get the ball rolling down the road while tensions remain high between us and the Russians.
We think about the U.S., we think about Russia, but there are a lot of other players here. We're looking at a plane on the tarmac in Turkey. What's Turkey's role in something like this? Well,
the plane that we're talking about that's on the tarmac is the same plane that was used to transport Brittany Griner, which is what I think has got people interested in why that plane is moving. Turkey is playing sort of a convening role. Back in the 80s, it was Vienna. That was a place where you did the spy swaps on that bridge. In fact, when we did the Russian illegals for those U.S. and British assets, that happened in Vienna as well. Turkey, the new place. Remember, Turkey is a NATO member, but they have this relationship with Russia. They're buying those S-300 missiles, right? So there's that interesting place where Prime Minister Erdogan wants to be a bigger player in the role. He sits at that intersection between Europe and Asia, so he's trying to play that role, and that's what's happening. That's probably why it's happening in Turkey. Safe territory for us, NATO member state. Russians have a relationship with Erdogan.
The only name that we've seen kind of ripple to the top right now is this Vadim Krasikov in the possible exchange. What more can you elaborate on him?
Well, so Krasikov, an FSB operative, killed a Chechen rebel fighter in Germany, in jail in Germany. So the Germans are part of this deal, right? Then you've got on the U.S. side, there's a number. We heard rumors yesterday about 5 American prisoners, Russians. Some of them were hackers or involved in illegal insider trading. One guy involved with Bitcoin. And so those folks have disappeared off the Bureau of Prisons books, which suggests they might be getting ready for a transfer as well. And then finally, there's been some talk about Slovenian, Russian spies that were in Slovenia that were recently captured, as well as some folks in Belarus that might come over to the West. So it sounds like a big trade, maybe 15, 20 people, right? A big number. Key ones for us, of course, Evan Gershkovich, Paul Whelan, and maybe a Russian-American journalist who's been held recently as well.
Yeah, Paul and Evan have been in the headlines a lot, so people know their faces, but there are more. I think it's important, Jamil, to talk about the different systems, right? You've got the Russians who have been arrested, detained, arrested, tried in a very open process. That's not what we see happen in Russia with these Americans who were arrested.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, it's a fundamental distinction between our system and theirs. We have jury trials. We have prosecutors who present evidence clearly in court. We have neutral third-party magistrates, right? Russia doesn't have any of those things, right? They have some open proceedings, mostly closed, right? To the extent they have open proceedings, it's a set piece between the judge and the prosecutors. In a lot of ways, it's not a real system. And so as a result, we see trumped-up charges against our people. In part, they're holding Americans as trade bait. That's the entire goal here, is they know you take a WNBA star, Brittany Griner, you hold her on trumped-up charges, you're going to get a Russian arms dealer, right? And so they know that we're sort of in the make-a-deal business, right? We say we don't negotiate with terrorists. We say we don't negotiate with authoritarian states, and yet we got to get Americans back. So at some level, we do negotiate.
It depends on. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.